In this video we're going to start looking at images, and we're just going to be looking at inserting an image into a web page, and also a couple of extra bits that we can actually do to modify the image to make it suit your particular website. So we first of all can add an image to a website by using the code imgsrc, which stands for basically image source. And where you have equals image source, you would actually replace that with wherever you would find your image. So for example, it could be if it's in the same folder as your web page, you would literally just put the name of the image followed by its file type. So it could be image.jpg, for example. And you can also add attributes such as height and width, because you generally will make or acquire images and they may need to be modified in some way. They may be slightly too big or too small, or whatever it might be. So you may need to be aware of that. You should also use something called an out attribute. So out is basically alternative, and that should describe the image. You don't need to do this in massive amounts of depth, but you should say what the image is, and that's primarily for people who use screen readers, or maybe they've turned off the ability to actually show image in their browsers. For example, if they have a mobile phone and they've turned off images because they may be short on data, so you know that may be something that you need to consider. So first of all, I've already got an image that I want to use for this tutorial. So I've got an image called Tiger. It's a JPEG file, and it's stored in the same folder as my website. Now, if you are going to have a fully fledged website, you'll probably put a special folder in here called images, just to make it easier for yourself later on, you know, so you have everything in the same place. But in this instance, my image called Tiger, it's a JPEG file, is stored in the same place as my web page. So if I go into Sublime Text, what we're going to do here is use the same code as I just showed you. So imgsrc equals tiger.jpg. Okay, and this will insert the tiger image into my web page. Now, this is quite large, so what I'm going to do here is change the height and width attributes to this, just to kind of show you how easy it is. And you know, one of the nice things about Sublime Text, it's helping me out when I'm actually coding this, so I have less work to do and there's less chance of mistakes. Now, obviously, if you're actually kind of creating this for a professional site, you may think about, or you will need to think about the dimensions a little bit more in depth than what I'm doing right here. I'm just putting numbers in to show you the difference and how kind of easy it is to actually do this. So I've specified the height and the width. Remember, these are in pixels, and pixels are, think of them as little squares that make up your screen, and the more pixels you have, the more in depth or the higher quality it could look. So for example, if you have quite a big screen, I have quite a big screen here, you may find that you could potentially have widths of a couple of thousand pixels, but those guys who are using much smaller screens or phones won't be able to see it so well. Right, so my alt text, I'm just going to put this as a picture of a tiger in there. You don't need to go massive amounts of detail. So although it should describe the image, you shouldn't be writing essays in there. It just doesn't make any sense, really. I'm going to save that, and then when I go back into my picture, yeah, so like I said, you'd need to think a little bit more about the actual proportions of your image, and you may want to play about with it a little bit more. But that is the basic crux of getting an image into your website.